All right, 7 notes on equations of circles. So we're going to talk today about equations of circles, which means like graphing it on a coordinate plane. So the center for your circle is at the ordered pair HK. Your H is your X coordinate and your K is your Y coordinate. So if you look at your little picture, here it is, and we use that specifically for the center of a circle. That's why we don't call it X and Y. And the radius, we're just going to keep with using r. So the equation is x minus k squared, not k, sorry. Let's erase that. Minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. And this looks like the distance formula, which it should, because the radius is the distance between the center and a point on the circle. So don't write this, but if you take the square root of both sides, you get the radius equal to the distance between your center and a point on there. So when we put this into a written equation, we leave x and we leave y, just like we do when we're writing something in slope form, y equals mx plus b. So we're going to start off with two problems here that we're just finding the center and the radius. So the center is going to be the opposite of the value in here, because remember it's x minus the x coordinate. So my center is going to be positive 4 and negative 1 because it's the opposite. And my radius is going to be the square root of that last number because remember, that's the radius squared. Okay, so go ahead and if we look here, oh, now it just says x squared and y squared. So there's nothing there. So what number means nothing? Well, that's 0 because this is really like saying x minus 0 and y minus 0 equals 25. So our center is at the origin, 0, 0. And my radius is the square root of that 25. So there we identified the center and the radius. Now here we're going to go the other way. I'm going to give you the center and the radius, and I want you to write the equation. So remember, this is h, this is k. So x minus h squared plus y minus k. Well, it's minus negative 8, so we can write that as a positive. And then 7. So we're going to square that to get ourselves 49. And legit, that's it for that problem. Okay, so here in number 4, it says write the equation of a circle with a center at 4, negative 1, and a diameter of 8. We have been working with radii. So what is my radius when my diameter is 8? Well, my radius is 4. So x minus my x coordinate, or my h, squared plus y minus negative 1. Oh, let's just write that as a plus 1. Squared equals, now we're going to square our radius. Remember our radius was 4, so this gives us a 16. So if we look here at the last one on the front side of the notes, it says write an equation for the circle with a center at the origin. The origin, remember, is 0, 0, and it has a radius of the square root of 10. So we just saw something not that long ago, 2 slides ago, that has an equation that had the center. So remember, that was written like this. We would simplify. We don't need to have that minus 0, minus 0. So we're just going to have our x squared plus y squared equals our radius squared. So our radius is the square root of 10, and we're squaring it. So those cancel. So we actually end up with x squared plus y squared equals just 10. All right, let's go to the back side where we are given a couple of points, and we are going to actually have to graph this. So it says write the equation of the circle with the center at negative 1, 1. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that, negative 1, 1, and I'm going to put a little c by it so I know that's the center. It passes through the point negative 2, 4. So negative 2 and up 1, 2, 3, 4. So the distance between those two is my radius, and we need that. So we are going to do the distance formula to find the radius. So hopefully you're not watching this on mute because it's going to be confusing because it looks similar to the equation of a circle, but you're actually doing your distance formula to find the radius. So x1, OI1, x2, OI2. So x2 is negative 2 minus y1, so negative 1 squared, plus y2 of 4 minus y1, 1 squared. Minus a negative turns to plus a positive. So we're going to take the square root of negative 2, negative 2 plus 1, that I can change into negative 1 squared. Plus 4 minus 1 is 3. We're going to square that. Negative 1 squared. So negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. And 3 squared, 3 times 3 is a positive 9. So 1 plus 9 gives us 10. So this is my radius. We are going to use this part here to write our equation. But then if you use the decimal, it's going to be about 3.2. We are going to use this to graph. Okay, so let's start off with writing our equation. It is going to be x minus my h, which is my x coordinate. So minus 1 turns into a plus 1. So y minus my y coordinate of 1. And then I'm going to square that square root of 10. Hey, remember the problem on the previous side that we just did? Yeah, when we square the square root of 10, it becomes positive 10. All right, so there's our equation. Now we're going to graph it using this part. So you have your center, and now from here, we're going to count to the right over 1, 2, 3, and a little more. And then we're going to count up 1, 2, 3, and a little more. And then we're going to count to the left, 1, 2, 3, and a little more. And then count down, 1, 2, 3, and a little more. Now your job is to connect those dots as best you can to look like a circle. If you draw straight lines, I'm going to mark it wrong. So you can give some type of a curve to it. Now I know my circles aren't perfect either. I'm not expecting yours to look perfect. I'm just expecting you to try. Okay. So if we look here at number 7, we are given the center, we are given a point that it goes through. So I'm going to go ahead and graph those. So my center is at 2 and negative 1. Remember, I'm going to mark that with a C, so I remember that that's the center. And then my ordered pair that it also goes through is 0, 0. So that's my radius. All right, I want you to go ahead and pause it here and come up with the equation for that. Meaning the radius. Find me the radius. Did you find the radius yet? I hope you found the radius. So this is a test to see if you are writing and listening or not. My radius ends up being, what number is this? 7. Okay, my radius ends up being the square root of 5. So how about this? If you are actually listening to this video, I want you to email me what my radius is for problem 7. Okay, email me what the radius is for problem 7. So we get a square root of 5. So when you go to write your equation, we have x minus 2, because it's the opposite, squared, plus y minus negative 1 turns into plus 1 squared. Now remember, we said that the radius is the square root of 5. So when we square a square root, that becomes just the 5. But we need to use the approximate for graphing. So I'm going to, from my center, go out to the right 2 and a little more. I'm going to go up 2 and a little more. I'm going to go to the right or left 2 and a little more. And I'm going to go down 2 and a little more. So I end up with a circle that looks mostly like a circle. All right, don't forget to email me. Now, last problem here, we are given 2 points. These 2 points are my diameter of my circle. So usually we need the center and the radius. So the center, we're going to find that in a minute. First, we're going to find the radius. So I can find the length of my diameter and then divide it by 2 to find the length of my radius. So that's what we're going to do. Find the distance of the diameter. So my x's, subtract them and square it. And then find the distance or the difference of my y's and square it. So 5 minus 5 turns into 0. And negative 4 plus 7 turns into 3. So this is going to go away. So we end up with, oh no, I missed something up. Yeah, that shouldn't be a plus 7. That should be a minus 7. I was like, this isn't what we're getting. All right, minus 7. There we go. We get negative 11 squared. Well, negative 11 times negative 11 is 121. Now we're going to take the square root of that. So my diameter is 11. But we want the radius, and the radius is half of my diameter. So my radius is 5.5. Now we have to do that finding the center. Well, your diameter has endpoints. The center is right in the middle of the diameter. So we use our midpoint formula. So you should have this back in your notes from when we way towards the beginning, like Unit 1, I think is where we introduced distance and midpoint formulas. And so we're going to find the midpoint formula here. We're going to add our x's, so 5 plus 5, and then we're going to divide by 2. Well, 5 plus 5 is 10, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that's my x coordinate for my center. And then I'm going to do the y's. So negative 4 plus 7, and I'm going to divide by 2. Well, negative 4 plus 7 is 3, and half of 3 is 1.5. So this is our center ordered pair. So the last thing that we have to do is write our equation using our radius and our center. So we get our x minus 5, which is our h, plus, oh, there we go, plus y minus our 1.5, which is our k, squared, and then equals 5.5 squared. So when you type 5.5 in and square it, we get 20.25. And if you want to round that up to 0.3, that's totally fine with me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it.